Okay, you can see I've taken things on quite a bit further. Just in terms of the design of my world, I've spent quite a long time adding some hills and other terrains and things. Let's just have a little look around. So we've added a different pattern of flooring for the start section there. We've created some hills here on the corners and down some of the straights, just to make it a bit more interesting as we move around there. I've split the track a little bit there, I've made some holes in the track so you can pick which route you take through there. Some of the sections where I've created hills sort of either side of it, that's enabled me to sort of flood that area and add some liquid to those bits, some water there. And we've been right round. One thing I would strongly recommend you do if you're creating hills is to then, after you've initially made the hill, is to use the flatten tool, and that smooths land out. So if we just go to this hill section here, if I just keep working on that, what it will do, it will bring the blocks that are lower upwards and take some of the blocks that are higher downwards until they kind of meet in the middle, and it smooths out the area and stops you getting this kind of blocky effect, which we zoom into this section you can see here. You don't want steps really on your hills, because certainly for the wheeler characters they can get stuck on those steps. So the smoother you can get all your hills, the better really. So bring them up to the sort of height you want first, and then use the level tool to just go right around the whole track again. And it takes a little while, but it's certainly worth doing that, because you'll get a much more playable game at the end to level and flatten all the areas out. And it doesn't put them flat on the ground again, it just levels the surface out, so it makes a much smoother surface for your characters to drive over. Right at the end as well, I just put in this sort of starred flooring section there for the finish area. Okay, and that's the game ready to play there really. Let's go back to the start section. Get your camera angle right before we start it. I also tweaked the speed settings ever so slightly as well. I felt it was probably going a bit too fast and some of the corners were a bit tricky to get round with the speed it was going. It might still need it. After you've created some of the changes in your landscape, you might need to just go back and adjust the computer character's path as well to make sure he can get around all the corners and over all the hills and things, but I seem to have lost him somewhere. Is he behind us? He might have dropped off the edge somewhere. Okay, but you can see I can drive around that quite easily. I also widened some sections of the path out because it was too thin in places and too hard to get around. Okay, we'll stop there. So there's quite a lot of trial and error there, and going back and adjusting things and making sure both of your characters can get around the whole track and that they're not getting stuck anywhere. If they are getting stuck, either widen the corners or level things off, or just adjust the path. So you can grab any, if you're on the path tool, you can grab any of these nodes and just drag them. Or if you need to add in extra points, you can right click on the line somewhere and split it, and that will give you extra nodes that you can kind of reshape your path. If they kind of disappear into the hills here, you can right click them and let's do that one, sorry. Adjust the height of them as well, so this slider will make that node go up or down. So if it needs to go up to get over a hill, you can do that. And other things you might want to add, just to again add some more challenge to your game. If we find a maybe a straight section near the end of it, we can add some other characters in who are just there to get in our way really, so that could be anything. I think we'll add a cannon character though, so he's shooting across the track while we're trying to get past. So getting close to him. Now all I'm going to do is have him pointing sort of horizontally straight across the track, so if you right click him you can rotate him and set his initial starting position, which is about there. And if we program him now, all I'm going to say to him is timer, let's say every second actually, let's make it tricky, and he's going to shoot a missile, and it's going to be just a stun missile. I think that's all we need to say there. Okay. And if we just find him, we'll ignore the game for a second. We can just about in the distance there see missiles. They will carry across the track into other areas, so he's firing away there. One on its own probably won't be too hard to get past, so again we can copy and paste him and spread them out in different places. You could have a row of 3, and if you wanted to make things extra hard, you could adjust the timings on them so they didn't all fire at the same time. Or you could put some in other places on the track. So just adding extra features like that can add some extra sort of danger and trickiness to your game, and sometimes it's quite nice to just highlight that as a sort of danger area with a different colour land. Let's find something suitable. Maybe this black one here. So just for that section I'm just going to paint that a different colour just to highlight that that's a danger zone. And you can do that with the other sections as well. And we're just about complete there. So there's other things you can add. You can add other characters to race against if you wanted them to follow the path as well. You can create other paths and just adjust things, tweak things, extend your track, pick different routes, put walls up, all sorts of different things you could do to make it more challenging and to extend things even further. But we're going to stop there. So last thing I'm going to do is, just like if you've seen the previous videos, we're going to save our world, save my world there, and we need the name at the top is the name of the game. So I'll call this Race to the Castle. The V button at the top there is the version of the game, so we can save it initially as version 1, and then if we want to go back and make changes we can save them as separate versions by changing the number at the top there. And the description is always just the empty world, nothing there to begin with, but that's just telling whoever loads your game what to do, and the controls sometimes is useful as well. So a racing game, get to the castle as fast as you can. Use the arrow keys to steer. And I've got my name goes in the creator section, which is already in there, so I can save that. Oh, one final thing you can add, which is in settings, which is the last option on your menu button. If you scroll down a little bit, there's options to choose the sky and the lighting, which is quite nice sometimes. But a bit further down, this is a good option. It says start game with, and you've got the option when you press play, does it just launch straight into the game? Or you've got the option to put in just the title of your game, or the description and the title of your game, a countdown, so it counts you in 3, 2, 1 and then go, or you can have the full thing, the description and a countdown. So let's go for that one, and let's get the camera in the right position. And if we go ahead and play now, we should get Race to the Castle version 1, a racing game to get to the castle as fast as you can. Use the arrow keys to steer. It says at the bottom there, press enter to continue. And it counts us in and we're off. Not perfect yet because my computer character seems to be getting a bit stuck still there, but you can see the missiles there coming across the track that we put in before the cannon, from the cannon.
And that'll do for a finished game. So you can see racing games are a nice, easy, simple way to get started with game making with Kodu. Not too much complicated programming to put into them, but a lot of opportunity to be creative with your worlds. So I hope you enjoyed that and hope you have fun making some games.